Toronto Star, being the Toronto Star, said, "Oh, so the synagogues are being shot up. Aren't you worried about Islamophobia?" Watch the clip.
You know, I put my 3 questions, and I'm glad I had a chance to do so. I think it's because the press conference was outdoors, so it would be much harder to stop me from attending, as opposed to the Toronto police who like to throw rebel news out of press conferences. But I was standing next to a reporter from the Toronto Star, and I didn't catch his name. I'll try and look it up. So we've just had 3 synagogues in 5 days being shot terrorist style. It's a 5-alarm fire. And I swear to God, this Toronto Star reporter, he asks if the police are worried about a rise in Islamophobia.
Just wondering if there's been an uptick in attacks against the Muslim communities. Well, I heard from the National Council of Canadian Muslims that there has been an uptick. Is going to confirm with you if there has been, and if the same sort of deployment of officers is going to be towards that. It's a very complicated issue.
Yeah, I think you raise an important point for how we deploy our members, and we deploy our members throughout the city to meet the threats that we face throughout the city, and that will also continue. We have been visiting with members of the Muslim community as required, and we have had engagement that has spoken to their community concerns as well.
You couldn't script a more woke Toronto Star question. You're at a press conference at a synagogue with bullet holes in the window. 3rd synagogue attacked in 5 days, and the Toronto Star, hey man, what are we doing about all this Islamophobia? Yeah, that's the Toronto Star for you.
Sheila, I know the year is young.
Joke.
Oh, I know the year is young, but that already qualifies as the most stupid question of 2026. The name of the reporter is Amarachi Amadike. I don't know if he's a dyke, but that's what his surname is, Amadike. And I love Sue Ann Levy's comment. She says, clearly he's not good at reading the room. And Sheila, I can tell you, our beloved producer, Efron, printed off the article because I will not spend 1 nickel to buy the Toronto Star. That would be like overpaying by 4 cents. Anyways, I read through the article, and then all the typical just the facts, Jack. And finally, the 3rd last paragraph, Amadike brings it up. And this is what he says, quote, "This weekend's attacks targeted the Jewish community, but Demkiw confirmed to the Star that there has been an increase in hate crimes against members of the Muslim community as well," end quote. You know what, Sheila? That is so disingenuous. The only reason Demkiw, and I'm no Demkiw fan, brought that up was an answer to his ludicrous question at a shot-up Jewish synagogue about Islamophobia. So there you go. There is your tax dollars hard at work in creating disinformation and misinformation.
Yeah, he did the Norm Macdonald joke.
Yeah.
You know the Norm Macdonald joke? I put it in the chat, Olivia, from 2016, and it remains true to this day. Dearly departed Norm Macdonald. He said, "What terrifies me is if ISIS were to detonate a nuclear device and kill 50 million Americans. Imagine the backlash against peaceful Muslims." And that guy did the joke without a sense of irony. He did you're literally standing at a synagogue. The 3rd one shot up in 5 days. Yep. And that's just in 5 days. That's not the girls' school that's been shot at twice. That's not the other Islamophobic attacks. That's not the fist fights that break out on the lawns of synagogues when talking about real estate developments. He did the joke. He did the joke. Yep. And he is the joke.
In the journalism business, Sheila, this is the old chestnut of asking a man, do you beat your wife? Or how often do you beat your wife?
When did you quit? When did you quit beating your wife? And it's like, what?
And then whatever the answer is, it like Amadike writes, so-and-so confirmed that he no longer beats his wife because, he never did. You asked him a
Right.
stupid loaded question. But
Yeah.
this is shocking. And it just shows you how the fix is in when it comes to the Jewish community. We have seen for 2.5 years now, Sheila, all the chestnuts. Hate has no home here.
Right.
Our hearts go out to the Jewish community. Well, you know what? Hate does have a home here. And what goes out to the Islamist community who are chanting genocide? Well, it's Timbits and coffee on cold days. And once again, noticeable by her absence, Sheila, Mayor Chow.
Yeah.
Where the hell was she? You know what? I actually thank Mayor Chow. Thank you for proving how you're on Team Hamas and you don't give a rodent's rectum about the Jewish community. We have an election in October. I hope people who are on the side of civilization rather than savagery and people who really do want to reach out to the bullied Jewish community will remember that when it comes to this odious mayor.
You know, they should just run Ben Bankus as Olivia Chow in the next election. And would anybody know the difference?
Well, you know what, Sheila, that's an interesting question because Ben Bankus was due to play a comedy show in Kitchener, Ontario. And guess what? Canceled, had the rug pulled out from under his feet. And the thing is, this is what I love about the karma when it comes to cancel culture. Yeah, you prevented a few hundred people from hearing Ben Bankus live. Guess what you did to his social media audience? It went through the roof. So thank you to all the cancel culture Karens out there. You're making him more famous than Ben Bankus could ever dream of being.
They're doing the same thing to my friends, the Danger Cats. You know, like Alberta venues are canceling those guys. They get the hate mob after them. You know what you do if you don't like them? Don't go.
Yep.
Like, it's really easy. You just don't go. By the way, Lisa and I are going to try to get tickets to Ben's show in Lethbridge in the middle of the month. So if you're going to that show, hopefully we'll see you there. If tickets are still available.
Sheila, I would say this. If you can get canceled in a little town in northern Saskatchewan for having the temerity to show the Millennia documentary, you can be canceled anywhere in this country, sadly.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Let's keep going on the same topic because unlike that lunatic who works for the Toronto Star, Ezra was at the press conference to get 3 good questions in, and he actually pinned the police chief down on this because at first they said it was random violence. But Ezra got the police chief to admit it was a targeted anti-Semitic attack. What a strange thing in this day and age that you would have difficulty saying that when somebody shot up a synagogue. But anyways, Ezra was able to get them to actually say the reality of the situation at a police press conference.
Chief Demkiw, Ezra Levant from Rebel News. A couple days ago, your new deputy chief compared a synagogue shooting to a random act of violence on the subway. He also said that there are so many other demands, it's not like he can move police resources to this file. Do you stand by his statements that this was a random act of violence as opposed to an organized, targeted terror event? And do you agree with him that you just can't move resources to this?
Well, as far as the investigation goes, listen, it's not something that when it's this active, the chief's going to comment on specifics. We'll follow the evidence. We'll present the evidence as it becomes available. And what's important is to recognize that we will make every resource necessary available, not just to the investigators, but also to our uniformed, visible presence that's required to not only help our communities feel safe, but to do everything we can to ensure the safety of our communities.
You didn't answer my question. I'm asking if this was a targeted anti-Semitic attack or, as your new deputy says, a random act of violence. Why won't you answer that?
No, I think it's very clear this was targeted at a synagogue. It's very clear.
Okay, well, I'm glad you corrected your deputy.
Very clear about the anti-Semitic nature and the hateful nature of this act. And we will not stand for it, and we will not tolerate it.
Will you deploy a police officer here like York Region has done as well?
We have provided police officers here extensively. We'll continue to do that. We are committed to doing that. We have been since October 7th, and we'll continue to maintain that presence and increase it as required.
You know, Sheila, it's worse than you think, because both York Region, because in Thornhill, a synagogue was shot up there, and in Toronto, the police in their media release used the words, a building was shot at.
Just a building.
Yeah, what, an A&W franchise, a shoe
Right.
store? I mean, now, I'm just hypothesizing here, but Sheila, if that had been a mosque shot up, is the lead buried? Is it just, a building, a random building? This is, again, more proof in the pudding that the fix is in when it comes to anti-Semitism in the Greater Toronto area.
Well, we know how the government would react if it were a mosque, even if it were a hate hoax, as was the case with the hijab hoax.
Good
You
point.
had statements from the Prime Minister about just the horrors of the anti-Muslim sentiment on the Canadian streets, and it wasn't even real. That was a complete fabrication, that a little girl's hijab had been snipped at by Caucasian man, or sorry, they said Asian man.
Yes.
The little girl did. And I've always thought that, she didn't know the word Caucasian. Someone
Yes.
had told her to say Caucasian, and she didn't know the word, so she said Asian. And then that triggered, this wave of bile directed at the Asian community when absolutely none of it was true. And the politicians whipped it up.
And you know what, Sheila? I think that is Ezra's theory too, that she meant to say Caucasian and
Ezra stole
screwed
that
up
from
the
me.
delivery. Yeah, just shortening it to Asian.
Yeah.
And what was incredible, you had the Prime Minister flying in from Ottawa, you had the mayor at the press conference, the premier. It was a jammed affair. And in the aftermath, when it was all revealed, this was one big nothing burger. No, it was worse. It was an outright hoax. I'll never forget the pathetic Bernie Farber writing in Now magazine. He's with the anti-hate organization, which are the most hateful people in this country.
Life
saying,
ruiners.
and it wasn't an apology. It wasn't that we screwed up. His words, I'm paraphrasing, well, it could have happened, so that's why we should call out Islamophobia. Can you believe this?
By the way, nobody is saying that you shouldn't call out Islamophobia, but you also shouldn't make it up.
Yes.
You're right.
Hey, folks, I know you love the news stories that Rebel News brings you, telling you the other side of the story. But a friendly reminder, you can also see your favorite Rebel News personalities on the Rebel News live stream. That's Monday to Friday, kicking off at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I typically co-host the Monday and Friday version. My colleagues do the other work. Please tune into the Rebel News live stream, Monday to Friday, 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.